Since childhood, we've been taught to believe that humanity's origins began in Eden, a perfect garden created by God. But what if this narrative were merely symbolic? What if the true origin of the soul lay in places and dimensions we never imagined? The revelations you'll hear today could completely transform how you understand creation, the purpose of life, and even your mission on Earth. Prepare yourself. What comes next is not for the faint of heart. Eden was never just a physical place you could find on any ancient or modern map. It symbolizes a heightened state of consciousness, a level of spiritual purity that humanity has known since time immemorial. Edgar Cayce revealed through his visions that many religious traditions have confused this transcendental state with a specific geographic location. The true Garden of Eden exists within the human soul itself, not in earthly coordinates that archaeologists can discover. When we finally grasp this profound truth, we realize a shocking reality. We have been expelled not from a physical location, but from a heightened state of mind and spirit. The biblical serpent represents much more than a tempting reptile whispering forbidden words into humanity's ear. It symbolizes the force of material density that seduced us into abandoning our original luminous nature. Cayce explained that this fall was not a single historical event, but a gradual process of identification with matter. Every soul that incarnates goes through this same journey of forgetting its divine origin. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil was not a literal plant, but the experience of duality. The forbidden fruit represents the conscious choice to experience separation from the divine source in order to discover individuality. It was not a sin in the traditional sense, but a courageous decision of the soul to explore its own creativity. Cayce revealed that this experience was necessary for the development of individual consciousness. Without this journey through matter, we could never become conscious co-creators alongside the divine. The expulsion from Eden was, paradoxically, the beginning of our true spiritual education. The garments of skin mentioned in the Bible were not literal garments sewn by God after the fall. They represent the dense physical bodies we begin to inhabit when we fully identify with material experience. Before this transition, we existed as beings of pure light, free from the limitations of flesh and time. Cayce described these garments as temporary protection so we could survive in the density of Earth. Our current skin carries the memory of this ancient transformation that shaped the entire human experience. The cherub with the flaming sword guarding the way back to Eden is not a literal angel blocking our entry. It symbolizes the inner challenges we must overcome to regain our original consciousness. Every temptation, every difficulty, every moment of choice between ego and love is a facet of this flaming sword. Cayce taught that when we develop sufficient wisdom through earthly experiences, this same sword becomes our ally. The guardian becomes the guide who leads us back to the lost state of unity with the divine. The inexplicable longing many feel for a home they can't identify is the distant echo of this inner Eden. It's not nostalgia for a place we visited in childhood or in specific past lives on Earth. It's the cellular memory of our original state of pure consciousness before identification with form. Cayce revealed that this nostalgia is a divine gift that propels us on our journey back. It serves as an internal compass, always pointing to our true nature beyond physical appearances. Long before Earth existed as a rocky planet orbiting the Sun, our souls already lived in subtle planes of pure energy and radiant light. Edgar Cayce described through his revelations that our essence was created as individualized divine sparks of the universal creative consciousness itself. These sparks traveled through unimaginable dimensions, exploring different levels of reality before voluntarily choosing to experience the density of physical matter. We did not come from clay molded by divine hands, as the literal interpretation of Genesis suggests. Our true origin lies in the stars, in the cosmic planes where pure consciousness dances in perfect harmony. Cayce revealed that at the beginning of time, we existed as self-aware divine thoughts, formless but with clear individuality. We were like musical notes in the cosmic symphony of creation, each with its own unique frequency, but all participating in the same universal melody. In this original state, there was no separation between the knower, the known, and the knowledge. All was an experience of absolute unity. The decision to experience individuality through physical form was a courageous choice to explore the limits of divine creativity. Each soul longed to discover what was possible when infinite consciousness expresses itself through apparent limitations. The journey from the stars to Earth was not an accidental fall or a punishment for some sin committed in higher dimensions. It was an adventure consciously chosen by beings who had already achieved perfection on the spiritual plane and desired a new form of growth. Cayce described these pioneering souls as cosmic explorers, trailblazers of new possibilities for conscious experience. They brought with them all the knowledge accumulated in other dimensions, but voluntarily submitted to the temporary oblivion necessary for complete immersion in the earthly experience. This oblivion was not a limitation, but a tool to make the experience more authentic and transformative. Cosmic memories still reside in the deepest layers of our consciousness, like dormant seeds waiting for the right conditions to germinate. When we experience moments of profound connection with nature, when we contemplate the starry sky, when we experience unconditional love, we are touching these ancestral memories. Cayce explained that certain spiritual practices, such as deep meditation, contemplative prayer, and altered states of consciousness can awaken fragments of these cosmic memories. They are not fantasies or imaginations, but genuine recollections of our existence on other planes of reality. These experiences serve as bridges between our current earthly identity and our true cosmic nature. The feeling of not fully belonging to this world, experienced by many sensitive souls, is an authentic reminder of our stellar origins. It's not a psychological maladjustment or escape from reality, but a cellular memory of our true cosmic homeland. Cayce revealed that these souls are often pioneers of human evolution, bringing qualities and abilities from other dimensions to enrich the earthly experience. They instinctively sense that there is much more beyond what the physical senses can perceive. This sacred restlessness drives them to constantly seek to expand the horizons of human consciousness through art, science, spirituality, and love. Connecting with our cosmic origins doesn't disconnect us from earthly responsibilities, but enriches them with transcendental purpose. When we remember that we are star beings temporarily incarnated on Earth, every action takes on cosmic meaning. Cayce taught that our mission here is to raise the planet's vibration through the loving consciousness we brought from the stars. Every gesture of compassion, every moment of wisdom, every expression of beauty is a way of anchoring the higher qualities of our cosmic origins on Earth. We are not exiled from the stars. We are star ambassadors, fulfilling a sacred mission of planetary transformation. The true original sin was not eating a forbidden fruit offered by a tempting serpent in the Garden of Eden. According to Edgar Cayce's revelations, it was the act of consciously immersing ourselves in the density of physical matter without maintaining a full connection with our original luminous nature. This immersion did not occur out of weakness or rebellion, but out of divine curiosity, the desire of consciousness to explore all possibilities of experience. When souls became attached to the physical world and temporarily forgot their transcendental essence, what we call the fall began. The Lost Eden is not a geographical location we can locate on ancient maps, but the living reminder of this direct and constant connection with the divine source. Cayce explained that before the fall, humanity existed in a state of consciousness where thought and manifestation were one. There was no separation between desire and fulfillment, between dream and materialization. Everything flowed naturally as an expression of individualized divine will. The fall represented the entry into a world where there is a gap between intention and result, where the resistance of matter becomes a learning tool. This resistance is not a cruel obstacle, but a divine gift that teaches us patience, perseverance, and the value of conscious effort. Every difficulty encountered on the earthly journey is an opportunity to develop spiritual muscles that could not be strengthened in the absolute perfection of the Edenic state. The forgetting of our divine nature was a gradual process, not a sudden event of divine punishment. Cayce described how the pioneering souls who decided to experience physical matter increasingly identified with their temporary forms. They began to see themselves as ensouled bodies, rather than souls temporarily inhabiting physical bodies. This reversal of perspective was the true moment of the fall, when identity shifted from eternal essence to perishable form. Each subsequent incarnation deepened this forgetting, but also offered new opportunities for awakening. The beauty of this process is that forgetting is never complete. There are always sparks of the original remembrance glowing in the depths of consciousness. The density of matter is not an obstacle to spirituality, but its most effective training ground. Cayce revealed that souls deliberately choose to work through physical limitations because this offers unique opportunities for spiritual growth. In the perfection of the higher planes, there is no way to develop compassion through suffering, courage through fear, or wisdom through error. Earth has become a school where these qualities can be cultivated through direct experience. Every material challenge is a lesson in disguise, every physical obstacle, an invitation to discover inner resources that would remain dormant in the absence of pressure. The fall into matter was, paradoxically, an ascent to previously unimaginable possibilities for growth. The process of identifying with the physical form brought with it the birth of the ego, not as a malign force, but as a necessary tool for navigating material density. Cayce explained that the ego serves as an interface between the immortal soul and the temporal world, allowing eternal consciousness to operate through the limitations of embodied experience. The problem arose when the ego ceased to be an instrument and became the center of identity. When we begin to believe that we are merely temporary personalities rather than eternal consciousness experiencing a personality, we lose touch with our infinite nature. This confusion of identity is what keeps humanity trapped in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Each incarnation is simultaneously a continuation of the fall and an opportunity to reverse this process through conscious awakening. Cayce taught that we are not condemned to endlessly repeat patterns of forgetfulness. Each life offers the possibility of remembering our divine origin and beginning the journey of return. Sufferings and challenges are not punishments for past sins, but catalysts for the awakening of dormant consciousness. When we finally understand that we are eternal souls, temporarily using material experiences for our growth, we begin the process of reversing the fall. Returning to Eden is not a future reward, but a present possibility available at every moment of conscious choice. Earth was not simply shaped to be inhabited by physical beings seeking survival and reproduction. According to Edgar Cayce, our planet was consciously designed as a sophisticated spiritual laboratory, a unique environment in the cosmos where souls can accelerate their evolution through experiences impossible to experience on other planes of existence. Here we find challenges specifically calibrated to shape immortal character, develop genuine compassion through shared suffering, and awaken wisdom through trial and error. The intense dramas of earthly life, pain that cuts like a blade, loss that leaves seemingly insurmountable voids, love that ignites the heart, and hope that rises from the ashes, are not cosmic accidents, but pedagogical tools precisely tuned to sculpt consciousness towards spiritual mastery. Earth's intelligent design as a school transcends any known educational curriculum, operating through lessons that emerge naturally from the circumstances of incarnate life. Cayce revealed that every challenging situation is a disguised opportunity to develop specific soul qualities that would remain dormant in the absence of external pressure. Poverty can teach detachment and gratitude for the simple things. Illness can awaken compassion and inner strength. Betrayal can develop forgiveness and wisdom. Loss can reveal the impermanence of all forms and the eternity of essence. No experience is wasted in this cosmic school. Even apparent failures serve as fertilizer for future flowerings of consciousness. The curriculum is personalized for each soul, based on its specific evolutionary needs and the karmic patterns it needs to dissolve. The genius of the earthly school lies in its ability to provide experiences of accelerated growth through diversity and intensity. On higher planes of existence, where harmony is constant, there is no way to develop patience through frustration, courage through fear, or compassion through identification with the suffering of others. Cayce explained that Earth offers a full spectrum of emotional experiences, from the highest peaks of ecstasy to the deepest valleys of despair. This emotional rollercoaster is not cosmic cruelty, but a refining mechanism that accelerates the development of spiritual qualities in a single incarnation that would normally take multiple existences on other planes to develop. The intensity of the earthly experience is proportional to the potential speed of spiritual growth. The true secret of creation is revealed when we understand that we came to Earth not as passive students, but as co-creators in training. learning to consciously manifest divinity through dense matter. Cayce taught that our ultimate mission is to raise the vibration of matter itself through the infusion of loving consciousness, transforming the lead of density into the gold of transcendence. Every act of genuine love, every moment of authentic compassion, every gesture of sincere forgiveness not only transforms the one who offers it, but also raises the vibrational frequency of the entire planet. We are here to learn to be conscious channels of divine light, anchoring in the physical plane the superior qualities we brought from our cosmic origin and graduating as masters in the art of manifesting heaven on earth. Human relationships serve as intensive laboratories for the development of virtually every spiritual virtue essential to our evolution. Through the complex dynamics between parents and children, husbands and wives, friends and enemies, leaders and followers, we experience unique opportunities to practice unconditional love, transformative forgiveness, infinite patience, and discerning wisdom. Cayce revealed that we often incarnate in karmic groups, souls who agreed before birth to play specific roles in each other's lives to accelerate mutual growth. The authoritarian parent may be teaching about personal authority. The unfaithful spouse may be offering lessons in self-esteem and forgiveness. The rebellious child may be awakening qualities of patience and unconditional love. Every challenging relationship is a disguised invitation to transcend previous personality limitations. Graduation from this planetary school does not consist of escaping Earth, never to return, but of achieving the mastery of living fully incarnate while remaining aware of the transcendental nature of the soul. Cayce described realized beings like Jesus Christ as graduates who chose to remain connected to Earth, not out of karmic necessity, but out of compassionate service to humanity's evolution. They demonstrate the possibility of being fully human and fully divine simultaneously, living in the world, but not of it. The final diploma of this cosmic school is the ability to express unconditional divine love through physical form, transforming every word, thought, and action into a blessing for all life. When we reach this level of mastery, the entire earth becomes our temple and all humanity our sacred family. Edgar Cayce spoke with profound conviction about something far more extraordinary than the physical DNA discovered by modern science. He revealed the existence of a spiritual genetic code engraved in the deepest layers of our soul. Within each human being resides complete records of all previous lives lived through multiple incarnations, as well as cosmic memories of our journey through different dimensions before arriving on Earth. This spiritual DNA functions as a living library that holds the essential keys to our transcendental origin, our current mission, and our evolutionary destiny. This is why vivid dreams transport us to times we have never consciously known. Sudden intuitions reveal knowledge we have never formally studied, and déjà vu experiences make us feel strangely familiar with places we have never been. Every cell of our being carries this infinite spiritual heritage, waiting to be deciphered by waking consciousness. The physical body we temporarily inhabit is merely the outermost garment of our true identity, a cosmic garment the eternal soul chose to wear during this particular incarnation. Cayce explained that just as we change clothes according to the seasons and occasions, the soul changes bodies according to the lessons it needs to learn and the service it came to offer the world. Each physical form is carefully selected before birth to provide the precise experiences necessary for the next evolutionary step of consciousness. Physical DNA may determine eye color and a predisposition to certain diseases, but spiritual DNA determines innate talents, inexplicable affinities, instinctive fears, and the life mission that pulses in the heart like an irresistible calling. Have you ever wondered why certain abilities seem to flow naturally through you, as if ancient memories were awakening? The soul carries within itself a unique and eternal energetic signature that transcends all the temporary personalities it has expressed throughout its multiple earthly incarnations. Cayce described this signature as a specific frequency of light and sound that identifies each individual consciousness within the cosmic symphony of creation. This essential identity remains constant, even when everything else changes. Bodies age and die, personalities develop and change, external circumstances constantly fluctuate, but the soul's spiritual signature remains as an eternal beacon of recognition. It is through this signature that souls who have shared previous lives instantly recognize each other upon meeting again, even if their conscious minds do not comprehend the origin of this magnetic familiarity. Love at first sight is often the recognition of this familiar spiritual signature. Recognizing and consciously activating this dormant spiritual DNA represents the first crucial step toward awakening from the oblivion that keeps humanity trapped in the illusion of separation. Cayce taught specific techniques of meditation, visualization, and contemplative prayer that can gradually dissolve the layers of spiritual amnesia accumulated over multiple incarnations. As we begin to access these deep memories, we discover forgotten talents, ancestral wisdom, karmic relationships that extend through time, and, most importantly, the clear remembrance of our original mission in incarnating at this particular time in Earth's history. This awakening is not a spiritual luxury for advanced seekers, but an evolutionary necessity for all of humanity, which is undergoing an unprecedented planetary transformation. Each person who awakens their spiritual memories contributes to the collective awakening of the species. Dreams serve as one of the most accessible gateways to spiritual DNA, offering regular glimpses into past lives, guidance from spiritual masters, and preparation for important future events. Cayce was famous for his psychic readings performed in the conscious sleep state, demonstrating the extraordinary potential that resides in this natural bridge between embodied consciousness and higher dimensions. During sleep, the barriers of the rational mind temporarily dissolve, allowing information from spiritual DNA to flow freely through consciousness in the form of symbols, narratives, and direct experiences. Many people report recurring dreams about specific historical scenarios, abilities they lack in their current life, or intense relationships with people they have never physically met, all echoes of spiritual memories attempting to emerge into waking consciousness. Keeping a dream journal and learning to interpret its symbolic language can significantly accelerate the process of retrieving spiritual DNA memories. Activating spiritual DNA is not only a journey of personal self-discovery, but an essential service for humanity's collective evolution at this crucial moment of planetary transition. Cayce prophesied that a time would come when large numbers of people would simultaneously begin to awaken their cosmic memories, creating a wave of conscious transformation that would elevate the entire civilization to a new evolutionary level. Each individual who regains access to their spiritual DNA becomes a catalyst for the awakening of others, radiating frequencies that activate dormant codes in all those with whom they come into contact. This phenomenon of morphic resonance explains why spiritual awakening is accelerating exponentially across the planet, even among people who have never previously been interested in transcendental matters. Humanity's spiritual DNA is being collectively activated as part of a divine plan to transform Earth into a civilization of conscious beings operating from cosmic wisdom rather than separative ignorance. In his most profound and disturbing revelations, Edgar Cayce mentioned the existence of extraordinarily powerful beings who deliberately interfered with the natural course of human evolution in ancient prehistoric times. These beings, which many traditions have interpreted as benevolent gods or rebellious fallen angels, possessed technological and spiritual capabilities far beyond what early humanity could comprehend or resist. Their interference was not accidental or motivated by compassion, but part of a broader cosmic conflict, unfolding in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Cayce described how this external interference generated profound spiritual imbalances that diverted humanity from its original evolutionary path, leading entire civilizations to destruction through cataclysms that still echo in the legends and myths of all the world's cultures. The hidden secret of Eden may be intimately linked to this ancient rebellion that shaped the destiny of our species. The Akashic records accessed by Cayce revealed that these interfering beings were not purely spiritual entities, but consciousnesses that had already mastered both technology and the manipulation of subtle energies to levels that defy our current understanding. They established physical bases on Earth and began genetic and spiritual experiments with the primitive life forms they encountered here, including humanity's ancestors. Their advanced technology allowed them to directly manipulate the physical DNA and energy patterns of incarnated souls, creating hybrids and modifications that would serve their specific purposes. Cayce indicated that many of the problematic characteristics of human nature, destructive tendencies, addiction to power, capacity for extreme cruelty, were amplified or even implanted through this external interference. These beings did not create humanity, but profoundly altered its natural evolutionary course. The original rebellion did not occur on Earth, but in higher dimensions, where these beings refused to accept the divine plan of gradual and harmonious evolution for all creation. Cayce described a fundamental conflict between two cosmic philosophies, one that advocated respect for free will and the organic growth of consciousness, and another that advocated the forced acceleration of evolution through control and manipulation. The rebellious beings believed they could create a higher order through methods that violated the natural laws of spiritual development. When they lost this dimensional battle, they were exiled to denser planes of existence, including the physical plane where Earth is located. Their arrival here marks the beginning of what we might call the infection of Earth's consciousness, with patterns of domination and separation that were not part of the original design for this planet. The consequences of this ancient interference manifested themselves through multiple global cataclysms that destroyed advanced civilizations and forced humanity to repeatedly start from scratch. Cayce spoke of Atlantis and Lemuria as examples of civilizations that reached high levels of technological and spiritual development, but were corrupted by the influence of these rebellious beings and ultimately destroyed themselves. The survivors of these cataclysms spread throughout the world, carrying fragments of advanced knowledge and traumatic memories that crystallized in the religious and mythological traditions of all peoples. The stories of gods who descended from the sky, giants who dominated the earth, angels who rebelled against the divine, and lost civilizations possessing extraordinary powers are echoes of these ancestral memories preserved in humanity's collective unconscious. Each cultural tradition has preserved different aspects of this traumatic cosmic history. The spiritual impact of this interference was even more profound than its physical and technological consequences, creating distortions in the very structure of human consciousness that persist to this day. Cayce revealed that the natural connection between humanity and the higher planes of existence was deliberately blocked or distorted, creating an artificial sense of separation that fuels all human suffering. Belief systems based on fear, guilt, and separation are not natural characteristics of human consciousness, but implanted programming that keeps humanity at low, easily controllable vibrational frequencies. The human tendency toward war, exploitation of natural resources, domination over other species, and religious divisions are symptoms of this original programming that diverts consciousness from its essentially loving and cooperative nature. Understanding this ancient manipulation is essential to transcending its limiting effects. But Cayce's revelations also contained a message of extraordinary hope. This ancient interference, traumatic as it was, also left lessons etched deeply into humanity's collective experience that can now be used to accelerate our spiritual evolution. Every myth, every legend, every religious tradition contains keys to decoding not only what happened in the past, but also how to definitively transcend the limiting patterns inherited from that traumatic time. The very existence of these memories in the collective unconscious serves as a spiritual vaccine that can immunize current generations against repeating the same mistakes. Cayce prophesied that a time would come when humanity would collectively awaken to this hidden history and use this knowledge to create a civilization based on entirely different principles, a civilization that would honor both advanced technology and spiritual wisdom, integrating them harmoniously rather than allowing one to destructively dominate the other. The authentic spiritual path is not a journey towards something unknown and distant, but a gradual and conscious return to our original nature, which was never truly lost, only temporarily obscured by layers of identification with the physical form and the illusions of separation. Edgar Cayce emphasized that every sincere meditation, every contemplative prayer, and every act of genuine love brings us closer to the primordial state of Eden within. This return does not happen through forced effort or rigid disciplines, but through the gentle dissolution of the resistances that keep consciousness trapped in limiting patterns. True spiritual practice is like removing layers of dust from a mirror. We do not create the shine, we merely reveal the luminosity that was always present. Every moment of conscious presence, every breath offered with gratitude, every thought directed toward the good of all beings is a step on this journey back to the soul's home. Regular meditation serves as one of the most powerful tools for dissolving the artificial barriers between the embodied personality and the divine essence that constitutes our true identity. Cayce described meditation not as a technique for achieving altered states of consciousness, but as a process of remembering our original nature that transcends all transient states. During deep meditation, the incessant waves of thoughts temporarily quiet, allowing the clear water of pure awareness to reflect its own natural luminosity. In this sacred silence, we begin to distinguish between the eternal observer and the observed phenomena that constantly arise and disappear. Identification gradually shifts from the turbulent current of thoughts and emotions to the stable awareness that witnesses them without being affected by their changes. This shift in perspective is the beginning of the conscious return to the Edenic state. Contemplative prayer goes far beyond simply formulating requests or giving thanks. It becomes an intimate dialogue between the individual soul and the universal consciousness of which it is a temporary expression. Cayce taught that the most powerful prayer is that which begins with the complete surrender of one's will to the divine will, creating a pure channel through which higher wisdom can flow freely. In this state of total receptivity, prayer becomes a means of direct communion with the source of all existence. Words eventually dissolve into silence, and the silence expands until it engulfs all consciousness in an experience of indescribable unity. This regular communion with the divine through sincere prayer gradually transforms the quality of one's entire life experience, infusing even the most mundane moments with a sense of sacred purpose and transcendent connection. Unconditional love represents the most powerful force in the universe for dissolving all illusions of separation and restoring consciousness to its original state of perfect unity with all creation. Cayce revealed that love is not an emotion we feel, but the very substance of which we are made. When we express genuine love, we are literally emanating our essential nature. Every act of authentic compassion, every gesture of sincere forgiveness, every moment of true empathy dissolves a layer of the barriers that maintain the illusion of separation between self and other. Love is simultaneously the means and the destination of the spiritual journey. We use love to return to the love we have always been. When we finally understand experientially that there is no other to be loved, but only different aspects of our own infinite consciousness, the circle of return is complete, and the Eden within is fully restored. Cayce repeatedly emphasized that Jesus Christ represents the supreme and most perfect example of this conscious return. A soul who managed to fully embody the original divine consciousness without losing connection with its transcendental nature. Christ was not an impossible exception to emulate, but the prototype of what all humanity is destined to become through spiritual evolution. He demonstrated the real possibility of living simultaneously as a fully embodied human being and as a pure expression of divinity, perfectly integrating earthly experience with cosmic consciousness. Every miracle he performed, every word of wisdom he spoke, every act of love he manifested serves as a beacon illuminating the path of return for all who choose to follow in his footsteps. Imitating Christ does not mean outwardly copying his gestures, but internally awakening the same Christ consciousness he perfectly expressed. The most important secret revealed by Cayce is that this return to the Edenic state is not a distant reward we will receive after death or in future incarnations, but a living, present possibility available in every moment of conscious choice here and now. The lost Eden can be instantly regained through a fundamental shift in perspective, ceasing to identify ourselves as limited personalities seeking spiritual experiences and beginning to recognize ourselves as infinite consciousness temporarily focused through an individual form. This transformation of identity does not require years of complex practices or approval from external religious authorities. It can happen the very moment we genuinely choose to let go of all the stories about who we think we are and rest in the radiant simplicity of our true nature. The 1,000-mile journey home begins with the first step of ceasing to look outside for what has always resided within, perfectly intact and eternally available. Edgar Cayce prophesied with extraordinary clarity that a time would come in Earth's history when humanity would awaken collectively and en masse, finally recognizing that its true origin lay not in the earthly Eden described by traditional religions, but in much higher and more glorious dimensions of the cosmos. This awakening would not be a sudden and dramatic event, but a gradual process that would accelerate exponentially until reaching a critical point of irreversible planetary transformation. Cayce described this period as being marked simultaneously by unprecedented global crises and extraordinary opportunities for accelerated spiritual evolution. The same forces that would create chaos and destruction in systems based on separation and domination would also unleash transformative energies that would catalyze the birth of a new civilization based on unity and conscious cooperation. We are living precisely this prophesied transition, where each external crisis serves as a catalyst for internal awakening. The present represents a unique moment in cosmic history where multiple evolutionary cycles are converging simultaneously, creating an unprecedented window of opportunity for the radical transformation of human consciousness. Cayce revealed that Earth was entering a new astrological era that would naturally favor mass spiritual awakening, while simultaneously specific cosmic energies would be directed toward the planet to support this transformation process. These energies are not vague mystical influences, but precise frequencies of light and sound that activate spiritual genetic codes dormant in humanity's subtle DNA. Every sensitive person can perceive these energetic shifts through more vivid dreams, more frequent intuitions, heightened synchronicities, and a growing sense of spiritual urgency. The Earth itself is actively participating in this process through climatic and geological changes that are forcing humanity to completely rethink its relationship with the planet and each other. The global crises we are witnessing are not signs of the end of the world, but the birth pangs of a new civilization being born through the collapse of obsolete systems based on fear and separation. Cayce prophesied that the social, economic, and religious structures that keep humanity divided and limited would gradually collapse, not from external destructive forces, but from their own inadequacy in the face of the expanded consciousness emerging globally. Each crisis reveals the unsustainability of living as if we were separate beings competing for limited resources in a hostile universe. Global pandemics, extreme climate change, economic collapses, and intense social conflicts serve as cosmic alarms awakening humanity from the slumber of separative unconsciousness. These crises force clear choices between continuing in old destructive patterns or evolving into a new form of existence based on the wisdom of our fundamental interconnectedness. Collective awakening manifests itself through growing waves of people who spontaneously begin to question conventional narratives about the nature of reality and seek direct experiences of spiritual truths. Cayce predicted that this movement would not be led by traditional religious organizations or established authorities, but would emerge organically from individuals who awakened to their cosmic memories and began living from this expanded perspective. These people would become natural catalysts for awakening in others, not through proselytizing or intellectual convincing, but simply by radiating frequencies of consciousness that would activate dormant codes in all those they came into contact with. The awakening would spread like a benevolent virus of light, leaping from consciousness to consciousness through energetic resonance rather than information transmission. Each person who awakens becomes a transmitter, facilitating the awakening of many others. Humanity is gradually remembering that it is not a species of evolved primates struggling for survival on an accidental planet, but a cosmic family of multidimensional beings who have chosen to temporarily experience physical density to accelerate their collective spiritual evolution. Cayce revealed that this fundamental shift in perspective would completely transform every aspect of human civilization, from educational systems that nurture the integral development of bodies, minds, and souls, to technologies that work in harmony with natural laws rather than destructively violating them. Future generations will grow up naturally aware of their psychic and spiritual capabilities, maintaining connection with their past life memories and soul purpose from childhood. Telepathic communication, subtle energy healing, and conscious manifestation of reality through focused thought and emotion will become common skills rather than rare gifts. The ultimate destiny prophesied by Cayce is not about escaping Earth into higher dimensions. but about transforming Earth itself into a physical expression of higher dimensions through the conscious presence of fully awakened human beings. The secret of creation reveals itself to be not about where we began our cosmic journey, but about where we are consciously directing our collective evolution. Reunification with the divine source from which we came will occur through the transformation of physical matter into conscious light, creating a new form of existence that perfectly integrates spirit and matter. This process has already begun and accelerates with each person who awakens to their true cosmic nature and dedicates their life to anchoring higher frequencies into the physical plane. The future of humanity is extraordinarily bright. We are destined to become a civilization of Christed beings living in the heaven on earth that we ourselves co-create through our transformed consciousness. Now that you've discovered that your origin transcends any earthly garden and extends to the highest dimensions of the cosmos, a fundamental question remains echoing in your heart. Are you truly ready to embrace the majestic responsibility of remembering who you truly are and living from this transformed perspective? If these revelations have brought renewed light to your heart and awakened dormant memories of your cosmic nature, share this message with someone who also seeks answers to the deepest questions of existence. Leave your sincere reflection in the comments. Was Eden a real place lost in the mists of history? Or has it always been a powerful symbol pointing to the divine consciousness that eternally resides within you? The journey you've just completed through these revelations is just the first step in an endless adventure of rediscovering your true cosmic identity. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and help this transformative message reach other souls ready to awaken from their spiritual amnesia and reclaim their divine inheritance. Always remember, your journey didn't begin on this planet, but your conscious transformation can completely revolutionize everything from this sacred moment onward. The entire cosmos is watching and cheering for your awakening. You are far more important than you ever imagined.